6ix9ine sat down for an interview with the Dancer Project, and things took a wild turn. When the host brought up Fat Joe's old comments about him, 6ix9ine didn't hold back. He exposed Fat Joe on the spot, and trust me, we're breaking down every detail of it in this video. I even fact-checked what 6ix9ine said, and guess what? It's 100% real.
Fat Joe said that...
Fat Joe's a
Lean back.
We've been leaning back for 20 years, man. Like...
He said you crowned yourself the rat leader and you wrote the 48 laws of snitching.
But before we get into that, let's rewind a bit to see what Fat Joe's been saying about 6ix9ine over the years. Because this man has not let up. We're talking multiple interviews going back 2 or 3 years, like the one on Mav Hoffa's show, where Fat Joe straight up disrespected 6ix9ine by calling him out of his name. And it didn't stop there. Just last month, Joe was still going off. Now let's be real. When people talk about rats in hip-hop, 6ix9ine's name always pops up. Whether you see Alpo as part of the culture or not. 6ix9ine might be the most infamous snitch the game has ever seen. His name became the face of betrayal in this new era of rap. During that Mav Hoffa interview, Fat Joe called 6ix9ine a P and a B, saying he was frustrated because he warned him about the Rico case before it all went down, but 6ix9ine didn't listen. And once the storm hit, everything crashed hard. Now look, when you hit 40, peace starts to matter more than pride.
You're gonna get me in trouble. For sure.
How did you feel after warning Tekashi? Because I saw it when you sat with him. And I was like, Joe is trying to put him on right now, and I don't think he's getting it.
I'm gonna just be honest with you. Damn, you went there?
Yeah, I went there.
This is a sucker. He's a sucker.
Talk, let me get, yo,
Okay.
pop another bottle in there, man.
Nah, I ain't drink. I'm dead sober.
Crazy. Talk that talk, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm dead sober. This dude here, this type of shit, this doing, I'm convinced he wanna die. I don't wish it on him or nothing like that, but I'm convinced he's miserable in his body. He can't look in the mirror. Nah, I don't know if he gotta be. He's a lot of
He just got knocked.
So now the man snitch, right? Cool, do you or whatever.
How did you know that?
I don't like the taunting. I try to tell him, like, what happens? Like, yo, bro, listen, I didn't know if he really did it. I didn't know what was going on. The crazy shit is when I talked to him in that interview, I talked to him off the air, and he lied to me and told me, yo, this is just an image, I'm fronting this and this and that. He told me that in front of Shotty and them. They were standing right there with him.
He said, what?
Joe. He told me that he was lying.
He's an image.
Yo, Joe, I'm not really doing this. I'm not a gangster. You know, this is all for like promotion. I got it. At that point, I said, so you're not doing nothing because you're gonna go to jail if you're really doing stuff.
Right.
Nah, Joe, I don't do nothing. I'm good. So I'm like, all right.
But even if Fat Joe was asked about it, at some point you gotta chill. Like, bro, stop calling people out their name on interviews. It's unnecessary drama. 6ix9ine made it clear he's not dissing Fat Joe just to start beef. He said straight up, he ain't snitch on me and he ain't snitch on nobody I know. But then he added that Joe was talking about guys he warned ahead of time what would happen, and they still kept 6ix9ine around anyway. Wild, right? But here's where things get interesting. Fat Joe has crowned himself like the prime minister of hip-hop morality. His whole stance now is being anti-rat. That's his brand. That's the hill he's willing to die on. But remember, those comments were made years ago. Since then, 6ix9ine's thrown a few shots back in interviews. But recently, just last month, Fat Joe brought it all up again. He told Jadakiss that he stayed up late one night thinking about who started what he called the snitching epidemic in hip-hop. And who did he blame? You guessed it, 6ix9ine. But hold up, what's that got to do with music? Because let's be real, 6ix9ine hasn't been dropping hits lately. His recent songs, not connecting. Even the snippets aren't doing numbers like before. Yeah, he had a moment when his sound ruled the scene, but that era faded fast.
Yo, what's the event in hip-hop that broke the camel's back? Pause. To make it to where you could snitch, and if you make good music or something, you could still live out here in hip-hop. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back in hip-hop, where we had a code and there is no code no more? There just isn't no code no more. And what do you think is the event that, you know, I remember growing up, even if you was fronting, you wasn't a real gangster, but you was spitting gangster rap shit. You wasn't with the rats like that. Right now, this
too many of them.
Sold out concerts.
I don't think you can escape them. They all around. They're like New York City rats. Humans. It's rats everywhere. And everywhere is everything, you know.
Too many Fredos, not enough Michaels.
That's a fact.
You know, some of these guys got to take a boat ride, never come back. Sammy the Bull is the most famous rat on the earth. Sammy the Bull. Then you came Alpo. Guy everybody looked up to, charismatic, Harlem fly, Louis Vuitton, this, that, Toe. He did that, right?
Shout out to Wayne Perry and Wayne Perry Jr.
Then, in hip-hop, the day 6ix9ine sat on that stand.
Yo.
No!
Man.
You remember, if you're watching the story, they taking him to court in bulletproof vests. They acting like he was telling on El Chapo. He put a lot of good people in jail, man.
Facts.
No,
we gotta put him away till his time.
Yo,
my feeling is gonna get close.
You feeling
I feel his time has come. I feel his time is gonna be soon, though.
You don't need a lot.
Yeah.
Does it not matter no more? And I believe 6ix9ine, when he gave guys 20 years in jail. All the guys he was like, oh, but he f***ed my wife. Oh, but he did. That means nothing. There's a man that works in a bodega that never been a criminal in his life, see some shit and he won't tell.
Still, this whole snitch talk got nothing to do with the charts. If 90% of hip-hop listeners ain't from the streets, why keep applying street codes to music fans who never lived that life? Even most black fans didn't grow up in the hood. It's just facts. So why should the rules of the streets matter in music when most of the audience doesn't even play by those rules? It's entertainment, not a court case. Go to any rap concert this year, anyone, and take a real look around. You'll see the truth right in front of you. At least 70% of the crowd isn't black, and depending on the artist, it's closer to 80 or even 90%. Go to a Drake concert, for example. Most of the fans there aren't from the hood, and that's just facts. So why keep holding rappers to street rules when the audience doesn't even live by them? It makes no sense. But that's still Fat Joe's biggest issue with 6ix9ine. He blames him for breaking the code, for taking away the rules of hip-hop. So when 6ix9ine finally fired back, he did it in the smartest way possible. Most people who get called rats try to deny it, but 6ix9ine stood tall in front of the world and flipped the script, calling out the hypocrisy instead. Fat Joe talks heavy about morals, integrity, and street principles, about being a real one. But 6ix9ine tore that whole image apart. He basically said, how can you talk about honor when you don't even follow the same code you preach? And that's when he dropped the bomb, Big Pun's son. See, by street rules, when your homie passes, you take care of his family. You make sure they're straight, especially if business and money were involved. That's supposed to be the ultimate sign of loyalty. But according to 6ix9ine, Fat Joe didn't live up to that code when it came to Big Pun's family. That's why he brought up Pun's son, because that situation exposed the gap between Joe's words and his actions. When 6ix9ine brought up Big Pun's son, the internet went crazy. He claimed that Fat Joe, who was once tight with Big Pun, didn't look out for Pun's family the way a real one should. That hit deep because Big Pun isn't just some random name, he's a legend in hip-hop, and the idea that someone so close to him might have turned their back on his family, that's a serious accusation.
If I crown myself the rat leader, he crowned himself as the cap leader. He didn't rob no 50 at no gym. That nigga, yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Which one's my camera? That one?
Yeah.
This one? That one? Yeah, Fat Joe, you're a like, you're a I'm not even gonna lie, you're a captain of the cap. Like, nobody believe, even your co-host who's Jadakiss don't believe you. Every time you say a cap, that like, oh, like, but like I said, you gonna go
flag, like
and
flag on the play.
And my next song, I even say, I be spitting so much facts that I make jokes to distract. That's the next bar in my song. Don't like the truth, so y'all make jokes to distract me. We know this lying, right? All right, yo, listen to me. Listen.
But there's
to
a lot
me.
of people that say he ain't lying.
He ain't lying?
Yeah.
All right. Which one's my camera? If Fat Joe is not lying, the next person on the Dancing Project, bring Big Pun's son. Bring Big Pun's son on the Dancing Project. Welcome back.
Chris Rivers.
Welcome back, y'all. Let's skip this clip. Watch when he see this clip, he gonna hit up. Yo, Chris, don't do that. How much money you need? Out of here. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, you just said a lot. You just said a lot.
Bring Big Pun's son, even on the verses. Remember when he was facing Ja Rule?
Yeah.
And they said, don't play that shit. That's Big Pun. Don't do that. Don't do what, fat bitch? You talking about, nigga?
In the clip, 6ix9ine said something that made everyone pause. He said, "You talking about morals, but you ain't even take care of your brother's people." That line shook the room, because for all the talk about honor and street codes, what 6ix9ine exposed was a moral contradiction. Fat Joe preaching loyalty while allegedly failing to live by it. Now, to be fair, Fat Joe's always defended himself against those claims, saying he's shown love and respect to Big Pun's legacy whenever he could. But the internet don't care about explanations. They care about drama. Once 6ix9ine threw that shot, fans started digging up old interviews, old pictures, old contracts, trying to see if there was any truth behind it. And this is where things get messy, because what 6ix9ine did was flip the entire rat conversation upside down. Instead of denying what he did, he exposed the ones calling him out.
Right, so when she came to me and told me that, we did 2 projects and we got her, not us, we didn't take $1, we got her $1 million for her and the family. Now she ran through it because she was used to spending that money. She comes back, I write her a check out my pocket, boom, and I'm like, yo, it ain't no more after this.
He made people question, if being real is about loyalty, then who's really living by that code? This wasn't just a diss, it was a calculated strike at Fat Joe's credibility. 6ix9ine turned Joe's own message against him, and whether people liked him or not, they couldn't ignore how sharp that comeback was. After that shot about Big Pun's son, the debate exploded online. Fans were split right down the middle. Some said 6ix9ine exposed the truth, while others said he was just trying to drag Fat Joe for clout. But either way, the damage was done. People started questioning Fat Joe's image.
And so we find ourselves in situations like Liza Rios has with Joe Cartagena, Fat Joe, where, you know, you got to file a lawsuit to figure out what actually happened and to find out where is the money. So today, although Fat Joe's lawyers originally filed an answer in the case, they subsequently filed a motion to dismiss, as did Jelly's Jams, not claiming that they don't owe any money, but just making technical legal arguments that basically saying that Liza can't sue them for one reason or another. We feel pretty good about the hearing. There was a hearing that took place today, oral arguments for our side and for Jelly's Jams and Fat Joe, to talk about why we believe that they should be kept in this case, and why we believe that they basically had fiduciary duties, meaning a higher standard than a breach of contract standard, to pay Liza monies that were due her husband so that her family can benefit. You asked if it was a rehashing. Well, in some ways it's the same issue. The big question is, where's the money, right? So, and there's some new information has come to light just of late that is setting some light on what happened to the money. And so that's really why this lawsuit is being filed now. You know, over time, you know, you're supposed to get royalties twice a year or whatever, and most of the time the accounts are saying they're unrecouped. So when an artist is getting statements that say they're unrecouped, there's really no reason for them to think that there should be money there. Right. In this particular case, we found the reason to believe that there really should be some more money there. And that is that we found out that in foreign territories overseas, that the writer splits are not properly reflected for the songs the way they should have been. And that's indicating that there was some money that was collected there that shouldn't have been collected. So that's where we're after. We're trying to pursue that. Actually, the important thing is that now artists are also getting paid for that money. ASCAP and BMI, the traditional, societies that collect money for songwriters, have been able to collect money for those streaming services and other, new technology types of services.
The same image he spent decades building in hip-hop. 6ix9ine didn't stop there either. He kept pressing the issue. He brought up interviews where Pun's widow and son claimed they never got what they were promised after Pun's passing. And that stirred up a storm. Folks were pulling receipts, rewatching old interviews, comparing statements. It got wild fast. Meanwhile, Fat Joe tried to keep it classy, saying he's always shown respect to Pun's name and legacy. But 6ix9ine flipped it right back, saying respect ain't just words, it's action. And that's what made the internet lean in, because when you call yourself a man of principles, people are gonna expect you to walk that talk. Then 6ix9ine threw one more dagger. He said Fat Joe was trying to play judge of the streets when he's not even clean himself. That line hit like a grenade. It wasn't just about Pun anymore, it was about the bigger picture. 6ix9ine was questioning who really gets to decide who's real and who's fake in this new era of hip-hop. What's crazy is, no matter how you feel about 6ix9ine, his response hit a nerve in the culture, because for the first time, the so-called rat made the real ones look hypocritical, and that's something the streets weren't ready to admit. For years now, people have been accusing Fat Joe of keeping money that was supposed to go to Big Pun's family. The claim is that Pun's wife and kids never saw the royalties they rightfully earned from his legendary catalog. Fat Joe once said he gave them $1 million, but Pun's wife quickly called cap, saying she never saw a dime of that. Things got so tense that she even filed a lawsuit against him. From what's been reported, that case either ended in her favor or is still playing out in court. But the point is, the accusations are serious. According to Pun's family, Big Pun's music kept generating money, yet none of it was making its way to them. Fat Joe allegedly told them, "Ain't no money coming in, man. It's all going to prior obligations." But when the family looked into it, they found something totally different. There was money coming in, and someone was collecting it behind the scenes. That revelation shook fans to the core, because if true, it raises an ugly question. How can someone preach morals, loyalty, and street ethics while allegedly cutting out the family of a fallen friend? That's not just a bad look, it's heartbreaking. And honestly, from a moral standpoint, a move like that, if it really happened, feels worse than anything 6ix9ine ever did. Because telling on criminals is one thing, but allegedly taking from a man's widow and kids, that's a whole different level of betrayal. So what do you think? Did 6ix9ine actually have a point about Fat Joe's integrity being questionable, or is all this just internet noise taken too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, share this video with your crew, and make sure to subscribe to Dripzine, where we bring the realest hip-hop stories to light every single week.